Right. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for tuning in to Leslie Starts a Conversation. And Happy New Year! Happy New Year! Wow, we have done it. We are out of 2020 and into 21. So I hope you have got some real good challenges for yourself where you're going to move forward with your life. Don't look back there, it's gone. Keep going this way, move forward. Okay, and I hope you've had a fantastic new year, whatever you was doing. Let me introduce to you my fantastic guest. Oh my goodness, I am honoured and privileged to have this amazing woman on my platform, honestly. I've got
Stop.
tears in my eyes. Laura Bartlett, she is with me today. Laura, thank you so much.
Oh
Honestly,
no, Leslie, it's my pleasure. Honestly, thank you for having me.
I really, really appreciate it. I really, really do. So before we start talking to Laura, let me just give you a little bit of information about Laura, about this amazing woman. So Laura is an award-winning founder, editor, and publisher of a global magazine, House of Coco. Wow. She's sold all over the world as well as in stores in Harrods and Selfridges. My God, this is just amazing.
I feel like I just want to take you everywhere just to introduce me to people in future because that was a very nice intro. So
I
thank you very
haven't
much.
finished. I haven't finished, Laura. There's more to come. Let me tell you. So, having built her businesses in her 20s with zero investment from ground up, Laura is a leading voice for young female entrepreneurs and a larger than life of failure breeding strengths. I mean, hello. Laura is a girl's boss with a passion for speaking, inspiring and motivating others to be the best possible versions of themselves. Laura is passionate about encouraging all readers to take a risk, to follow their dreams and stay in control. Yes, her motto is listen, you can't make a comeback if you haven't been anywhere. Please welcome Laura Bartlett. Woo!
Thanks.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so
No, thank
much.
you for having me. Honestly, it's an absolute pleasure to be here. I love seeing that you're doing this. And, last time we properly got to catch up a few years ago when we bumped into each other at the Les Brown event in London, you told me that this is a path you wanted to go down. And it's an absolute honor to see you living that dream. So thanks for having me and kudos for you for making it happen.
Oh, thank you, Laura. Honestly, yeah, that day at Les Brown, I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do.
And
And
now
I
you're
was,
doing it.
and now I'm doing it. It's like, yay!
Whoop,
Fantastic.
whoop.
So, thank you so much. So, Laura, where should we start? I want to go back in time. I want to go from you being in your bedroom, reading your books, reading your magazines, and now you have your own company. Tell us about that.
Well, if I think of probably the earliest memory that I have that makes me understand how and why I do what I do, probably when I was 5 years old, I think. I had a typewriter. My parents bought me a typewriter, and I used to sit in my room writing stories and creating all these, characters. And I absolutely just loved getting lost in the pages of this, fictional book or whatever it was that I was writing as a kid. So now when I think about that, I think, oh, well, maybe it was always in me that this is what I was going to do for a career. So I then fast forward a little bit from there. When I was 15, I knew clearly that I would work for myself. I remember having two very clear thoughts at the age of 15. One of them very arrogantly was, I know everything there is to know, I couldn't possibly learn anymore. How wrong was I? And the other one was, I know that I will work for myself. So I always knew I'd have my own company, but I never knew what or how. But it's been nearly 10 years now. I've been publishing magazines and creating content and working with my team of writers and traveling the world, working with brands, and it's been pretty epic.
It's been brilliant, brilliant. So you were 15, yeah, you're reading your books. How were your parents? Didn't they want you to leave your books, and what were your parents like? How did they support you?
So when I was about 8 years old, my mum got me out of bed in the middle of the night and sat me on her knee with my brother. He was a year older than me. And she said, I need to tell you something. Gavin has gone and he's not coming back. And Gavin was our cousin who was 14, and he was supposed to go home at 8 o'clock at night. And he rang his mum and said, can I stay out a bit longer? And she let him stay out for an extra hour. And in the hour, he fell through a roof and he died. And so that was a pivotal moment in our lives, because it didn't matter about education. It didn't matter about, ticking boxes or living a life like you assume your children should. From that moment forward, our parents just wanted us to be alive and be happy and be healthy. And it didn't matter what we did for a job, as long as we were happy and we were here. So I've always had the support to just go out there and follow my dreams and do whatever makes me happy. I was never sort of told to go to university or college. If I wanted to, then I should, but it was never something that was, forced upon me, as it were. So I'd say, yeah, that was a really pivotal moment. And my parents have always just been, as long as you're happy and you're alive, then I don't care what you do. As long as you're not killing anyone.
Yeah, exactly. And so then, have you grown up with any other siblings?
Yeah, so just me and my brother Dwayne. Dwayne is 13 months older than me. He's like my favorite person in the world. He's just so sweet. And he's actually just started working for himself as well, just last year. So it's really good to see him following in my dad's footsteps and coming on this entrepreneurial journey, as it were.
Excellent.
Maybe it's in our genes and we just didn't realise.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. So you started your own business when you were 19. So what was that?
Well, one part of the story that isn't always like out there is my first company was actually selling handbags. So I had a company called Handbag Heaven, and it was so simple. I had £100. I found a stockist, a wholesaler. I spent £100 on handbags. And back in the day, 14 years ago, having a Facebook page with 1,000 fans meant that 1,000 people would see every single thing that you posted. So I built it up to 1,000 fans, and I posted the bags, and within a week, I sold the stock, and the £100 turned into £400. Wow. So then I bought more stock, and the £400 turned into more, and it continued like that, right up until the point that I then had an opportunity to have a shop at the Mailbox Centre in Birmingham. Now I'm from Leeds, so it's a few hours drive, but I've always been quite spontaneous and a bit of a yes girl. So I got this opportunity to have this store next to Harvey Nichols, just a concession over Christmas for 11 weeks. And so I then took my handbags and had this shop. And after that, I realised retail is not for me. I just felt, no disrespect to anyone that works in the industry, but kind of just standing around all day waiting for the next customer, and it wasn't for me. But that was my first taste of working for myself, and I loved it. I loved the creativity and the freedom to do what I wanted, but just realized that actually being in that industry wasn't the right one for me.
Wow, well, that's fantastic at such a young age to go ahead and to do that. That's brilliant. And so you worked for the radio as well. You worked in the radio. What was that like?
Yeah, so I heard an advertisement on the radio for a media sales executive, and I just thought, what the hell is that? That sounds cool. So I applied for the job. I said, I don't have a CV. I've never had a job. but I'm a sponge and I'm willing to learn. They were my exact words in the email.
Wow.
I was then invited to a group interview. I shone through whatever, and I got the job. So I was this was all in the same year. I was 19, and I went to work on my first day. I was told to get a taxi because I was getting a company car. I was on like 30 grand a year. It was mad. And I just absolutely winged my way into this career in radio selling advertising. But, you know, now I would probably have imposter syndrome. Back then, I didn't know that imposter syndrome was a thing. Yeah. And I started this job like, you know, all excited. And then after a few months, I was just so out of my comfort zone because, you know, it was such a higher level than anything I'd ever done before. Yeah. So about sort of 4 or 5 months in, the manager pulled me to one side and said, oh, you know, you're not the person you were in the interview, you know, you're really quiet. And I was like, well, I'll be honest, you know, I'm completely out of my comfort zone. I need more help, I need more training. And they gave it to me, and I loved it. I did that job for about two years. Wow. And I was then headhunted, if you want to call it that, by a local magazine. Wow. And I left my job in radio, went to like half the salary, but a better company car. I was like 21 by this point, driving an X5 company car, being really shallow and only caring about looking good. And he ended up being a bit of a con artist, so he never paid me on time, and it turned out he didn't distribute the amount of magazines that he said and that kind of thing. And it was from there that I thought, well, if he can do it and, you know, have a magazine, then so can I, but I can be nice about it and actually legitimate. So that's when my first magazine was born.
Yeah. And, you know, Laura, I have been following you, so please share with us what happened, because I know you went on to Dragon's Den to tell them your ideas and what you would like, and you know, how was that whole, well, tell us first about Dragon's Den.
Yeah, so I had this magazine, which at the time was all about Leeds and fashion and events in the city, and 15,000 copies of the magazine got handed out every single month. I had like a street team of people that would go out and hand it out at Trinity and on, you know, in the city centre, in the White Rose Centre and stuff like that. And then I had been doing that for about 18 months and decided I don't just want to be Leeds, I want to be international, because I don't know why I thought that was the obvious next step to take. And didn't think that I'd be able to do it on my own, and applied to go on Dragon's Den. I didn't think I would get on, but I did. And you spend a long period of time with the producers leading up to the show, you know, all the due diligence behind the scenes and that kind of thing. And the producers were like, you know, you're amazing, they're gonna love you, you're amazing. So I was like, I'm amazing, they're gonna love me. I think by now I'm maybe like 24, 25. And when I went into the Den, I was so underprepared. I just went in with this one-track mind that they were going to love me regardless of anything. And I was just, you know, I've watched the program for years, and I've seen people go in there and screw up their numbers and all the rest of it. And I've shouted at the TV. And then I was that person who was probably being shouted at from the other side of the TV because I screwed up on everything. Had they have asked me my name at one point, I probably wouldn't have even known that. But what you don't see on the show is I'd been rehearsing the walk in and out of the Den with the camera crew to get all the angles since 7 a.m. You know, it was 6 hours later that I finally got to go in front of the dragons. Wow. And what you see on TV is that's the first time that I saw them. And there's, you know, no wall down the left-hand side. There's like 30 camera crew. It's so intense. I was sweating. It was awful. And Peter Jones kind of just said, you know, who do you think you are? How dare you compete with me? Because he used to own a magazine called Wonderland, which was never profitable, by the way, just saying. And then I had to wait for them all to say, I'm out. I got in the lift, which doesn't move, and just started crying. So I was just a mess on national TV. And then, you know, knowing that millions and millions of people are going to watch that. And from filming to airing, there was a 6-month period in between. Oh. And it was kind of like, I remember going home that day, having to ring my parents afterwards, because obviously I thought I was going to get the investment because the producers convinced me that I was so amazing. Yeah. You know, naively that I didn't come up with a backup plan. But I remember having to ring my parents and they were like, how did it go? You know, I was like, I didn't get the investment. And then my mum was like, screw Peter Jones, you know, go on and prove him wrong. So within that 6 months between the filming and the airing, I just kind of got my head down. I got loads of advertisers on board, you know, just bashing the phone, speaking to people, sharing my idea. I got a distribution company involved, and then I launched the magazine on sale in 16 countries, and it went out the same weekend that the program aired.
Wow.
And so it sold out worldwide, and it was, you know, great. I did a couple of international editions like that. But other things that came out of the show, obviously from the exposure, is all the different opportunities that you get. And one of them was to be the partner for the clothes show, which back then was, you know, one of the biggest fashion events in the history of the UK. So my magazine, Elle, and Cosmopolitan were the media partner for the clothes show. And speaking to the founders of the clothes show, they kind of said, you know, worst case scenario, I'll make 100 grand, best case scenario, £500,000 or whatever. So I put all my eggs in one basket thinking I'm going to make £500,000, you know, still young and naive. And I made a fiver. So I had to leave the event on the second day. The company went into liquidation. Eventually that led on to me going bankrupt, and I lost everything. But then 6 years ago, I decided to start again, launch a new magazine, but this time, instead of focusing on fashion, I would focus on travel. And I sat in LS6 Cafe at Hyde Park Corner in Leeds with my friend Penny. And I said, right, I'm going to go again. This time it's going to be called House of Coco. I'm going to have a team of people. We're going to travel the world. And 6 years later, we have seen every corner of the globe. I was sponsored by brands like Land Rover. I've worked with Rolls Royce. Like, it's been mental.
Wow. That's amazing. That's an amazing story. Amazing. Oh.
Just making it up as I go along, but I realise that's what everyone's doing.
That's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So do you think going on Dragon's Den has actually made you stronger, it's made you bigger and better?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's about 6 or 7 years ago now that I was on there, and I still get to dine out on that fact, because people will still recognise me, you know, diehard Dragon's Den fans that have seen every single episode. Every time I get interviewed or anything like that, people always ask about it. And yeah, I think it definitely helped. I look back now and I just don't even know where I got that confidence and that brave, that I don't know how I was so brave to go on there, but I would never do it now, but I'm glad that I did it then.
Why wouldn't you do it now?
I just think, you know, the Dragons aren't on there because they want to invest in businesses. They're on there because they want to raise their media profile. And after seeing how things work behind the scenes, I don't believe that the reason that they build that show is to support entrepreneurship. It is just, you know, it's a TV show. It's to get ratings. It's to get viewings. And after I went on the show, you know, I was a young woman, and I was, after I'd gone in the den, I'd filmed the bit, you know, behind the scenes, my feedbacks. They literally put me in a taxi and sent me home, and that was the end of it. There was no follow-up. There was no aftercare. Wow. And there was no, you know, preparation, in the sense that millions of people are going to see you, thousands of people are going to have an opinion, and there was no support for that. And I just think, given the way the world is now with online trolling, you know, it'd be even bigger than it was back then. I just think I just wouldn't want to put myself in that situation. And with shows like Love Island and the rise around suicide, because people can't handle, you know, that feedback, I just think they did a disservice to me and probably the other people that were on there not to give that follow-up support. But luckily I have a great support network in my family, so I was fine. I had like thousands and thousands of emails of support, and then people saying things like, you look like a pig in a frock, who do you think you are, what a stupid idea, and, you know, all kinds. Hundreds of articles were written about me, thousands of tweets were sent out. It's pretty intense, but 7 years later, I can imagine it'd just be even worse. So that's why I wouldn't want to do it now.
Wow, gosh, Laura, I didn't realise that. Why can people be so cruel, so wicked? Why are they saying things like that?
I think it just says more about them than it does about you.
Of course. Oh wow, that's not nice. That's not nice at all. Because you know what? I've known you for how many years, and you know, you have always been like, woo! The party goer, you're always so full of energy and happy and encouraging and positive, inspiring. I mean, yeah, you're an amazing woman. Amazing
Ah,
woman.
likewise.
You are, thank you. You are. And you're only 34, 33?
33. Yeah, I'm 34 in 3 weeks.
You're
Where
right.
does the time go? It's crazy. But talking about all these things from being 19 and 20 something and doing that. When you're young, you're so brave. You don't care what people
Yeah, you're
think. You
full
don't
of
think about the
confidence.
negative outcomes. You just go for it. And
Yeah,
as we get older, we doubt ourselves more,
yes,
we question
yeah,
more. So anyone who's watching this who's young and thinks that age is not on their side, let me tell you, it
it
is.
is.
Do things young, make the mistakes young.
It is.
You know, Leslie, you've only been following in your dream for the last, however many years.
Mm,
How much more you could have done if you'd have started sooner. But there
yeah,
was, different life paths and stuff like that. But everything happens at the right time. But
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you know what? Like, you said, you are a real inspiration for young people, to believe in themselves. And it's true. But the thing about it, we dream about things. It's all in our imagination. But then when you do get to a certain age, you forget about all those dreams, and you live your life, But then when you go back, for me, when I go back and look at my life, I'm like, I dreamt of all things what I wanted to do, but I just stopped myself, when I
mm,
got to a certain age. But you know what? I am living my best life now, and I'm loving it. I'm loving my journey, what I'm on at the moment. What?
I'm loving watching you. It's just amazing. I'm
Oh,
so proud of you.
oh, thank you. My sons are like, "Who are you? Why have you
Changed. You're like, I'm not just a mum anymore. I'm doing my own thing.
exactly, exactly?" I love it, and I know your mum's watching. So, hi, Jane.
Hey,
Hi, Keith.
mum.
That's Laura's mum and dad, Jane and Keith. Beautiful. Right, so Laura, what can you say? I know we've just had a little conversation about the young people, but young people growing up and they're wanting to do things, how can they do that? How can they get started?
I'd probably suggest maybe finding someone who's already doing what you want to do and reach out, ask for some support, some guidance. I've had a lot of people reach out to me over the years. I'm always willing to help. Don't be scared to ask someone who's doing what you want to do, just to give you some support and some guidance.
Yeah,
And I think as well, a lot of people try and get things perfect before they put it out to the world. The best thing is just make progress and forget about perfection and learn as you go. There's only, you can sometimes get analysis paralysis where you're analyzing everything and you're thinking about everything before you get it out there. You put it out there and then the feedback isn't what you expected. You wasted all that time. I'd say just do it, whether that's setting up the Instagram, starting the blog, just make that first step and just do it.
yeah,
Small progress is better than no progress.
absolutely. And what is your inspiration? Who inspires you to move forward?
Well, I guess my parents, because I know they always, they're always behind everything that I'm doing. And probably just like all the authors of all the books that I've read over the years. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill is probably the most life-changing book that I've ever read. And it's all about, just stepping outside your comfort zone, getting on with it. And just other people that I follow on the internet can be inspiring sometimes, but then there's a fine line between someone being inspiring and then someone sort of stunting your growth, in the sense that I follow a woman, for example, on another example, actually, there's a company that I used to follow and I was going down a similar path and wanting to launch something very much like what they were doing, but because they were doing it so well, they had millions of followers, it almost made me think, well, what's the point in doing it if they're already doing it?
Yeah,
I then actually started being a consultant for them and saw behind the scenes and how things worked. And I realized that actually that facade on Facebook and social media, they didn't have their shit together, pardon me for swearing, mother, but they didn't have everything together like I thought they would. And I thought, oh my God, had I have known that, it probably wouldn't have stopped me in my tracks sooner.
yeah,
So just don't compare yourself to what other people are doing, because it doesn't tend to be as well as you think it is.
exactly. And that is so true. And I think sometimes, well, for me, you like stop yourself from doing something you do, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh God, I'm just scared. But it's like, now I'm not interested. I'm
Yeah.
doing it. Whatever I want to do, I'm going for it. I'm going for it because we've just
Preach.
come out of, we've just come out of 2020. And
Yeah.
what's that been like? So how has business been for you through 2020?
So obviously my primary income is through House of Coco magazine, which we said is a travel magazine. So travel has been halted, and what a lot of other travel publications started to do is they almost turned into news outlets where they were reporting on COVID and talking about the statistics and all the rest of that. And I didn't want to do that. I categorically refused to even talk about COVID on the platform, because people come to us for escapism, and people need that even more in 2020 than any other year. So we just continued doing what we were doing before and just pivoted slightly, so it wasn't travel, but instead was sort of travel, lifestyle, careers, and just opened it up to a broader audience. It then meant that we had more visitors on our website and more eyes on our content, which then meant we attracted more advertisers, and actually things worked out really well. A couple of the issues in the middle of the year, the print magazine couldn't go to print because the distribution and the shops were shut, which then meant I saved an absolute fortune because I didn't have to print the magazine. And we then invested that money into getting more people to read the digital version in the App Store. And I think, as I hate to call myself an entrepreneur, but as entrepreneurs, I think years like 2020 are what we are made for. It's our job to work out how to maneuver through difficult situations. So I've seen a lot of people thrive in 2020, and we definitely came out on top. So I liked it. I like the challenge of it. I wouldn't say I liked it, that's a bit excessive, but I enjoyed learning new skills and trying different things, and I'm just really grateful that our business, the business, made it through.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. No, and I know COVID has been really hard for a lot of people, where a lot of people have lost lives, and it's been really hard for family and loved ones. But yeah, for me, COVID has really pushed me forward, and really, like, go for it. Just go for it. Don't think about it, just go for it. Write it down, what you want to do. I've got all these vision boards all around, what I want to do, what I want to achieve, and just do it. Just do it. So yeah, that's what I'm doing it. So yeah,
I love it.
agree with that. I so agree with that. So what's your 5-year plan? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Sipping a cocktail on a yacht in the middle of the Caribbean and working 1 day a week. That's the plan. Do you know, it's really funny because people say to me all the time, oh, you must be so busy, you must be so busy. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I could definitely do a lot more. But I just choose not to. I like to have downtime, and I could literally just sit on the sofa staring out the window for 2 hours a day. And, I don't need to be doing things all the time. But my focus right now is, as well as the magazine, I have a team of, I think there's about 32 people in the team now. Collectively, we're called Team Coco, travel the world, working with brands, creating content. And for the last 5 years, I had people, hundreds of messages every single month saying, how can I join Team Coco? How can I join? And unless you're a writer and we were recruiting, you couldn't join. Until last year, I decided to launch something called the Team Coco Gang. And it's a private membership and a private community for aspiring travel and lifestyle influencers to get access to me and the team, and massive experts every single month to help them launch and grow their career. So I'm just building that right now. That's mainly my focus. The magazine pretty much takes care of itself with all the team that I've got there. So my focus is just to grow this community, add loads of value to them, and help people go on a similar journey that I've been on, and just share all the knowledge that I've got. So and once that's kind of up and running smoothly, the reality is that would only take a few hours of my time every single week. So that's the goal.
That sounds fantastic. That sounds amazing. And can I say this? Well, I'm going to say it. I know you recently got engaged, and and that's why we're seeing Stuart. Well, I've told him your name. So but Stuart's the darling. And what was COVID like then? Because I know you've done all sorts since throughout COVID, but what was COVID like?
COVID wasn't easy. Like, we were both living in my apartment, so having each other on top of each other was like a lot. And then for the second lockdown, we actually moved into our dream home, and it made life a lot easier because we're not on top of each other. And yeah, it's been good. It's been good. It definitely had challenging moments in the first half of 2020, but we've finally got into a flow now, and everything is good. But he's great. He's spontaneous like me, so we've not enjoyed, the restrictions that have been set upon us, and we've not wanted to break any rules or anything like that, but still working out ways that we can live our life and not feel like we are trapped. So on New Year's Eve, we hired a camper van and we just hit the road, went down to Cornwall, saw the new year in on the beach, and now we've absolutely fallen in love with #van life. It's a whole new world. It's just so cool. And now we're literally like, should we just sell everything we own and go and live out of a van? So I don't know, watch this space. I'm not looking to give up this house anytime soon though.
No, well, I mean, the van looks absolutely amazing. It looks
It's so cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like the freedom of having your world in the back of your van. So if you just want to drive on over to France or whatever, like we were literally looking at how you can drive to the Caribbean without getting on a flight and working out the way to do that. So who knows?
Wow. No, that's amazing. So who is your superhero?
My superhero is probably my dad, because you know what, that man has never let me down since the day I was born. He's solid. You always know what you're getting. And when I was a teenager, I had a job working at QLM in Meanwood, and I did a whole day shift, and I got paid 20 quid at the end of it. And my dad said, "You're not going back there for £20. You're worth more than that." I then had a job at Mamma Mia's Pizza in Chapel Allerton. I did a night shift. I got home at midnight. I got 20 quid. He said, "You're not going back for 20 quid. You're worth more than that." So I think maybe those, sentiments stuck in my head, and I've always known that I was worth more, and that's probably pushed me on to follow my dreams and do what I'm doing now. So shout out to Keith Bartlett, my superhero. And my mum, of course.
And Jane, of course.
She's the brains behind it all.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course, women are. That's what we do. So true. It's so true. So Laura, right? You haven't gone to university. You've just got your way through life and done these amazing jobs and your amazing business. How can we inspire the young people? Because obviously that is fantastic to do all that. It's amazing. But like somebody who's at university and they want to do what you're doing, how can they do it?
Like I said before, just start. If you want to follow in my footsteps, the first thing you would do is just set up your social media, position yourself as a personal brand. Start writing, don't make excuses like I've got a full-time job or I'm at uni or whatever. When I first started out, I used to wake up an hour earlier in the morning and go to bed an hour later at night. And in those 2 hours at the start and end of the day, I'd be writing content and just reaching out to people. Like, you're going to get knockbacks. People are going to say no. It's probably not going to happen as quick as you think it is. But the time's going to pass anyway. So you might as well persevere and just keep on going. Just speak to people, ask for help, knock on doors, not literally. You've got the internet now. You can physically just slide in DMs and send emails and to try and stand out, pick up the phone, speak to people. When I first started out, I didn't have anything, but I did have a vision and I just shared that vision with as many people as I possibly could, and people bought into it. And then eventually it grew from there. So just get clear on your vision and just start sharing it with as many people as you can, and opportunities will start knocking.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think, but then I suppose you've got to really have that confidence as well in yourself, because if you don't have that confidence, or if you don't have that belief in yourself, then then that's going to be really hard to actually do it, isn't it?
Yeah, you definitely have to have the belief in, not necessarily in yourself, but in the idea. If you believe in the idea, that will give you self-belief, and the more people you speak to about it, you're going to get negativity, especially when you first start out, and you have to be prepared for that. But you can't let that stop you in your tracks. You hear stories from Disney, for example. He went bankrupt and lost everything. You hear stories of Richard Branson, and all these people didn't get to where they are by giving up at the first setback. Yeah. So you have to be prepared for negative feedback and setbacks, but if you believe in your idea and your vision, just keep on going.
Yeah, that is so true. Yeah, that is so true, because I believe in my vision.
I believe in your vision.
And I'm going for it.
I love it.
I'm going for it. So, Laura, we have come to the end of our interview. What words of encouragement can you leave with our viewers today?
Do you know what? Just do it. Just do it. You know, my friends have this phrase, and it's just Laura it, because if I have an idea, I just do it. Put it out there. If it doesn't work, try something else. Just do it. And also, the mute button on social media is an absolute godsend. If you're following people that are making you doubt yourself, question yourself, you're comparing yourself to them, mute them idiots, and just keep tunnel vision on you and what your goals, and just stay focused, forget what everyone else is doing, and stay consistent. You know, it can happen for you.
Yeah, that is so true. And you know, the words, when you've just said that, it's like, you know what, that is so true, because just stay focused. Just stay focused. Don't worry about back there. Just stay focused on what you want. Write it down, see it, see yourself there achieving it, and it'll happen. I mean, I'm going to interview Mr. Les Brown. I mean,
amazing. It's just crazy. That's just amazing. Like, well done. And that's all because you asked and you put yourself in the right position to be there. Yeah. And that's, you know, a couple of years in the making. When did I see you at that event in London? 3 years ago, maybe? 3 years. And now, you know, that dream has come to reality. You just don't give up.
Yeah. I'm going to interview Mr. Les Brown.
That's so cool. That is like massive.
It's just absolutely crazy. It's just, honestly, when he said yes, I was like this. I was shaking and crying like a baby. I was like, Leslie, pull yourself together.
Oh, I love it.
So yeah, no, I'm really chuffed to bits.
Well done.
Doing that. So yeah, you definitely got to tune in. You've got to tune in as well, viewers. 14th of January, 6 p.m. on this platform. Les Brown will be where Laura is at. Les Brown! All right.
In my office?
Brilliant. Oh, Laura, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on here.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much for having me.
Brilliant. And guys, if you've got any questions for Laura, or if you want to reach out to Laura, then Laura, please, how can they get in touch with you? Will you leave your comments? Will you leave your details in the comments? Is that okay?
Yeah, literally just Laura Bartlett 0 on all social media, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Slide in my DMs anytime. I'm always open to chat. No men though. No men.
No men.
Just the ladies.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's brilliant. So yeah, I will put Laura's details in the comments. So please reach out to her if you need to. And yeah, we have come to the end.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Don't go nowhere yet, Laura. Quick word. So I am back, or we are back next week Sunday, 5 p.m. Real Table Talk, and we have got another fantastic guest. I'm not going to tell you. We're going to wait, and I will tell you throughout the week. But stay tuned, and thank you so much for tuning in. And I really need to be telling you this more. You actually need to, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel. Don't be shy, just subscribe. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next Sunday. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.